Have you ever noticed the quiet heaviness that settles in your chest right after you say yes, when every fiber of your being was silently screaming no? There is a strange kind of freedom we give away in these moments. The immediate, fleeting relief of avoiding a conflict is followed instantly by the exhausting weight of an obligation you never wanted. We smile, we agree, we make the sacrifice, and in return, we feel a deep, invisible exhaustion. If you have ever felt emotionally drained, overextended, or completely unseen in your own life because you are constantly bending to the needs of others, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this pain forever. Here is the truth few people want to face. The most exhausting burden you will ever carry is the weight of a false yes. We often believe that by agreeing to things we do not want to do, we are being kind. We convince ourselves that we are holding the world together. We believe we are keeping the peace. We think that by swallowing our own needs, we are showing love, loyalty, or dedication. If we do not step in, who will? If we do not say yes, will everything fall apart? But Buddhist wisdom teaches us something profoundly different about truth and suffering. When your outward actions do not match your inward truth, you create a deep, invisible friction within your own spirit. You are not practicing kindness, you are practicing self-abandonment. Every time you say yes merely out of fear, guilt, or the heavy obligation to please, you are stepping away from your own center. You are watering another person's garden while your own roots are slowly dying of thirst. Imagine a tree trying to bend its branches to shelter every passing traveler from the storm, while ignoring the sickness forming in its own trunk. It stretches and strains, pouring all its energy outward. Eventually, the tree will break under the weight of the wind. It will no longer be able to offer shelter to anyone. Not because it was not generous, but because it forgot that it must first stand strong and rooted to offer any shade at all. Think about your own life. A false yes is like a small stone placed gently into a backpack. One stone goes unnoticed. 2 stones are merely a minor annoyance. But over months, over years, over decades of agreeing to things that drain your spirit, that backpack becomes a crushing weight. Think about the drained energy from social obligations you dreaded. Think about the endless favors you do for people who never seem to ask how you are doing. You tell yourself it is just one more time. You tell yourself it is easier just to agree. But the mind remembers. The body keeps the score of every ignored boundary. Every time you push your truth down to make someone else comfortable, a small piece of your light dims. Ask yourself, what are you truly afraid will happen if you finally say no? Are you afraid they will leave? Are you afraid they will be angry? Are you afraid you will no longer be seen as the good, reliable person? Is this thought bringing you peace, or is it feeding your fear? Stop, breathe, let that sink in. Notice the tension you hold in your shoulders when you think about disappointing someone. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You do not have to be the endless source of comfort for a world that does not refill your cup. Because peace is not something you earn by pleasing everyone around you. True peace begins the moment your outward voice matches your inward truth. But letting go of this heavy habit is not easy. It requires us to look closely at the illusion we have been maintaining. And this is where the next truth begins. 2. The illusion of keeping the peace. What if the peace you are working so hard to protect is actually a war you are silently fighting against yourself? Here is the truth few people want to face. We often confuse keeping the peace with keeping the quiet. When someone crosses a line or asks too much of us or assumes we will carry their burden, we quickly say yes to avoid a sudden storm. We swallow our frustration. We bite our tongues. We do the extra work. We think that by avoiding an argument, we have preserved harmony. We tell ourselves that things are fine as long as nobody is upset. But the conflict does not disappear. It merely moves inward. Buddhism reminds us that true peace cannot be built on a foundation of avoidance. When we constantly shrink ourselves to accommodate the heavy demands of others, we are acting out of aversion, a deep fear of facing discomfort. We believe we are controlling the situation, but the illusion of control only deepens our suffering. You cannot suppress your own truth and expect to feel calm. The energy of your unsaid no does not vanish. It turns into a heavy, stagnant weight in your mind. Imagine standing in a river, trying to force the rushing water to be perfectly still by hitting it with your bare hands. You strike the surface over and over, frantically trying to smooth out the ripples. But the harder you try to force the water to be calm, the more chaotic the splashing becomes. You exhaust yourself fighting the natural current, believing that if you just work a little harder, the water will finally rest. But the river does not need your control. It only needs you to stop striking the surface. Think about your own life. How much of your daily exhaustion comes from managing the moods of the people around you? You walk on eggshells in your relationships. You take on extra tasks at work simply because it is easier than having a difficult conversation. You listen to the complaints of others for hours, absorbing their negativity because you fear they will be hurt. If you step away, you have become a shock absorber for the world. You endure the rough road so that everyone else can have a smooth ride. But ask yourself, who is this peace actually for? If the room is quiet, but your mind is racing with exhaustion, is there really peace at all? Are you preserving a genuine relationship, or are you preserving a comfortable illusion for someone else at the cost of your own spirit? Stop. Breathe. Observe the thought without following it. The next time you feel the sudden, urgent pressure to fix a mood or smooth over a tense moment, simply pause. Let the uncomfortable feeling rise without making it your identity. Let the awkward silence exist in the room. You do not have to rush in to fill it. You do not have to be the emotional rescue boat for every rough conversation. True peace is not the absence of external storms. It is the deep, quiet stability of standing firmly in your own truth, even when the wind is blowing. You are not powerless. You do not have to chase harmony by hiding who you are. But seeing the illusion of this false peace brings us to a difficult crossroad, because beneath this habit is a deep misunderstanding of what it means to be a good person. And this is where the next truth begins. 3. The difference between kindness and self-erasure. What if the virtue you are most proud of is actually the cage keeping you trapped? Here is the truth few people want to face. There is a profound, often invisible difference between being genuinely generous and being slowly consumed. We are taught from a very young age to be kind. We are told to be the helpers, the ones who compromise, the ones who give. So, when someone asks for our time, our energy, or our resources, we offer it freely. We manage other people's problems. We absorb the hidden costs of everyone else's comfort. But soon, giving stops being a conscious choice and becomes a heavy, unspoken expectation. Buddhism teaches us the essential concept of compassionate detachment. True compassion does not demand that you destroy yourself to save another. In Buddhist thought, a lamp cannot share its light with the room if it has no oil left to burn. When your giving is driven by fear, guilt, or the desperate need to feel valuable, it ceases to be kindness. It becomes a subtle form of self-erasure. You begin to treat your own needs as an inconvenience until you simply vanish from your own life's equation. Imagine a quiet room lit by a single steady candle. People enter the room and slowly carve away pieces of the wax, to mold their own lives, to fix their own broken things, or to carry light into their own darkness. You let them. believing the flame will remain strong regardless of what is taken. But as they pull away the wax, the flame grows dangerously close to the table. Soon, there is nothing left to sustain the fire, and the room goes completely dark. The candle did not fail because it was not warm. It failed because it allowed itself to be chipped away until nothing remained to support the light. Think about your own life. Think about the invisible costs of the structures you have built. Perhaps you remember the heavy responsibility of managing campaigns at work, where constantly saying yes to one more strategy or one more deadline felt like the only way to keep the whole system from collapsing. Or think of a major life milestone, like finally acquiring the keys to a new home, which feels like ultimate security until you are silently crushed by the endless, hidden costs of maintenance. In both cases, the outward achievement masks a deep, exhausting reality. We do the exact same thing with our emotional energy. We take on the endless maintenance of other people's lives, paying the hidden cost with our own peace. Ask yourself, when you say yes, are you giving from a place of abundance, or are you giving from a place of fear? Are you being kind to them, or are you slowly erasing yourself? What are you afraid will happen if you finally let the candle burn just for you? Pause. Breathe. Notice the difference between a joyful yes and a heavy yes in your body. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You are allowed to protect your light. You do not need to burn yourself down to keep others warm. Because true kindness honors both the giver and the receiver. It leaves you feeling whole, not hollow. But stepping back from this exhausting pattern brings up a shadow we spend our whole lives trying to outrun. And this is where the next truth begins. 4. The fear of disappointing others. What if the disappointment you are so desperately trying to avoid is exactly what you need to set yourself free? Here is the truth few people want to face. We are terrified of letting people down. We carry the expectations of our family, our friends, and our colleagues like fragile glass in our hands. We move carefully. We speak carefully. We alter our own plans and bend our own rules because the thought of someone looking at us with disapproval feels like a physical ache. We tie our own worth to their temporary satisfaction. We believe that if they are upset with us, we have somehow failed. But Buddhist wisdom teaches us the profound practice of non-attachment to the judgments of others. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is that every person is entirely responsible for their own emotional weather. You cannot control the mind of another. When you twist your life into knots to prevent someone else from feeling upset, you are taking on a burden that was never yours to carry. Their disappointment is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It is simply the friction of distance between what they expected and what reality can gracefully provide. Imagine a deep, still lake reflecting the sky. When heavy, dark clouds roll in, the surface of the lake mirrors the gray storm. But the lake does not panic. It does not try to reach up into the sky to push the clouds away. It simply observes the reflection, knowing the storm belongs to the sky, not the water. When someone is disappointed by your boundary, they are passing a dark cloud over your lake. You do not need to reach up and fix their sky. You only need to remain still as the water. Think about your own life. Think about the pressure to succeed in ways that do not actually fulfill you, simply because you do not want to let down those who invested in you. You say yes to invitations you dread. You apologize for things that are not your fault. You endure conversations that drain you. You are constantly moving, constantly adjusting. It is like an ancient supply line stretched too thin across a vast distance, desperately trying to deliver resources to far-off outposts while leaving your own center completely undefended and exhausted. Ask yourself, what are you truly avoiding when you refuse to say no? Is it their anger or your own discomfort with not being the hero? If their approval requires you to constantly abandon yourself, is it really respect at all? Stop, breathe, let the storm pass without becoming the storm. The next time someone is disappointed by your necessary boundary, simply observe the feeling. Do your part, speak with kindness, then release the outcome. You are not responsible for how they receive your truth, because you cannot build a stable life on the shifting sands of other people's opinions. Eventually, the effort to please everyone slowly hollows you out, leaving behind a quiet, bitter ache. And this is where the next truth begins. 5. The quiet resentment of self-abandonment. What if the anger you feel toward others is actually grief for the parts of yourself you have given away? Here is the truth few people want to face. When we constantly say yes to things we do not want to do, we assume we are simply being helpful. We believe we are acting out of love or duty. But deep down, in the quiet spaces of our minds, a heavy, silent bitterness begins to grow. We become resentful. We find ourselves frustrated with the very people we volunteered to help. We silently wait for them to notice our sacrifice. We expect them to realize how tired we are, to read our minds, and to finally give us permission to rest. But they do not, and so the resentment builds a poison we swallow, while secretly expecting the other person to feel the ache. Buddhism teaches us that true suffering is often born from ignorance. In this case, the ignorance is the deep misunderstanding that self-abandonment can ever lead to authentic connection. In Buddhist thought, every action has a direct energetic consequence. When you give from a place of depletion, when you force a smile while your spirit is exhausted, you are not planting seeds of love. You are planting seeds of bitterness. You cannot grow a garden of peace from soil that is entirely drained of its nutrients. Imagine a seed growing in complete darkness. It wants to reach the light, but it is trapped in the shadows of a deep, damp cave. Because it cannot grow upward naturally, it begins to twist. It stretches sideways, becoming a pale, distorted vine that desperately wraps itself around everything within reach, slowly strangling the stones and roots around it. Resentment is exactly like that seed. When you push your own needs into the dark to make room for everyone else, your energy does not disappear. It twists. It becomes a quiet, suffocating anger that wraps itself around your relationships, slowly choking the joy out of the very connections you were trying so hard to protect. Think about your own life. We often treat our relationships and daily commitments like an unbalanced corporate merger. We join our lives with others, at work, in friendships, or with family, but in the name of keeping the new partnership alive, we silently hand over all of our own voting rights. We give up our voice, our boundaries, and our preferences, assuming the other side will naturally look out for our best interests. But eventually, the merger completes, and we wake up feeling completely powerless. We feel like an exhausted employee in a life we were supposed to own, harboring a quiet, heavy anger toward the very people we initially agreed to help. Ask yourself, when you feel that sudden flare of irritation, who are you truly angry at? Are you upset with them for asking, or are you quietly heartbroken with yourself for always answering yes? Is this resentment serving you, or is it merely the heavy echo of an ignored boundary? Pause, breathe. Feel the weight of that unsaid resentment in your chest. Observe the thought without following it. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. Acknowledge that you played a part in building the invisible walls around you. You do not have to hold on to this bitterness, and you do not have to blame the world for taking what you freely handed over. Because the only way to heal resentment is to stop feeding it with false agreements. You must learn to stop. The cycle before the word yes escapes your lips. And this is where the next truth begins. 6. The practice of the sacred pause. What if the most powerful thing you can do to change your life is simply to wait 3 seconds before you speak. Here is the truth few people want to face. We have lost the ability to hesitate. When someone asks us for a favor, invites us to an event we dread, or places a sudden demand on our time, our deeply ingrained habit of pleasing instantly takes over. We say yes before we have even fully processed the question. The word simply falls out of our mouths on automatic pilot. We are moving so fast, desperately trying to be agreeable and useful, that we bypass our own inner voice entirely. The agreement is given before the mind even realizes the spirit is exhausted. Buddhism teaches us the profound importance of the space between stimulus and response. In mindfulness practice, this is known as the sacred pause. It is the conscious gap where we stop reacting blindly to the demands of the world. When you instantly say yes, just to avoid momentary discomfort, you are caught in the illusion of urgency. But when you learn to sit in the brief silence after a request is made, you reclaim your autonomy. You realize that you do not owe anyone an immediate surrender of your time. Imagine a heavy pendulum swinging rapidly back and forth. It swings forcefully in one direction, driven by heavy momentum, and then violently reverses course. But if you watch closely, at the very height of its swing, just before it falls backward, there is a fraction of a second where it hangs completely suspended in the air. In that tiny fragment of silence, the pendulum is perfectly still. It is weightless. It is no longer falling and no longer climbing. That momentary stillness is the sacred pause. Think about your own life. Think about the sudden pressure of a message arriving on your phone, asking for help with a project, or inviting you to a gathering. The modern world demands instant replies. We treat every incoming request like a falling glass we must immediately catch before it shatters on the floor. A colleague catches you off guard. A family member makes a sudden request. We feel the rush to fill the silence with an agreeable answer, just to make the heavy tension go away. We are so afraid of leaving someone waiting that we rush past our own boundaries. Ask yourself, what are you truly afraid will happen in that silence? If you look at a message and wait an hour to reply, will the world fall apart? If you say, let me think about it, what disaster do you fear will unfold? Are you answering their request, or are you just trying to quiet your own anxiety? Pause, breathe, observe the sudden rush of panic without following it. Stop trying to force the door open the second someone knocks. The next time you are asked for your energy, do not say yes, do not say no. Simply let the silence exist. Let the uncomfortable moment hang in the air, because peace is not found by running faster to please the crowd. It is found in the quiet space where you finally give yourself permission to choose. But claiming that space means learning to speak a language that may feel entirely foreign. And this is where the next truth begins. 7. Setting boundaries as an act of love. What if the firmest "no" you ever speak is also the deepest act of kindness you can offer? Here is the truth few people want to face. We often confuse boundaries with rejection. We believe that to love someone, whether it is a partner, a friend, or a family member, we must be endlessly accessible to them. We think that placing a limit on what we can give is a sign of selfishness or failure. So, we leave our gates wide open. But when you offer a false yes, you are not offering love. You are offering an illusion. You are handing them a hollow, resentful shell of your actual presence. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that true connection can only exist in the clear light of authenticity. In Buddhist thought, compassion is not meant to be a tool for your own destruction. The practice of loving kindness must always begin with the self. If you exclude yourself from your own compassion, your practice is entirely incomplete. A boundary is not a weapon used to hurt another person. It is simply the honest truth of where your capacity ends. Imagine a quiet, beautiful room filled with warm light and careful arrangements. But this room has no locked door. Anyone can wander in at any hour. They bring in heavy mud from the storm outside. They casually take the candles for their own use. They move the furniture to suit their own comfort and leave their discarded heavy burdens on your floor. Eventually, the room is stripped bare, left in cold chaos. The owner of the room becomes bitter and exhausted. A locked door is not an act of hatred toward the outside world. It is a necessary act of preservation. It protects the peace of the quiet room, so that when you finally do invite someone in, you actually have a beautiful place to share. Think about your own life. When you move through the world with no boundaries, you live like a single ball on a crowded billiards table. You are constantly absorbing the heavy impact of everyone else's momentum. A co-worker's sudden panic over a deadline strikes you, and you are sent rolling into anxiety. A family member's unmanaged frustration hits you, and you are pushed far away from your own center. You take the strike of a friend's negativity, and suddenly you are the one who cannot sleep. You never get to decide your own direction. You are endlessly reacting to the forceful strikes of the people around you, entirely at the mercy of their velocity. Ask yourself, what are you actually protecting when you refuse to close the door? If a relationship requires you to be endlessly exhausted just to keep it intact, is it a connection or is it a capture? Are you preserving their love or are you just preserving their convenience? Pause, breathe, acknowledge your own limits without guilt. Do your part, then release the outcome. The next time you feel the pressure to surrender your energy, visualize that quiet, beautiful room. You are allowed to close the door. You are allowed to say, I cannot carry this today, because setting a boundary is not about keeping people out. It is about protecting the light inside, so that you do not go entirely dark. But closing that door for the first time will feel deeply unnatural. It will bring up a storm of its own. And this is where the next truth begins. 8. Sitting with the discomfort of no. What if the terrible guilt you feel after saying no is not a sign you did something wrong, but a sign you are finally doing something right? Here is the truth few people want to face. The first time you stand firmly in your truth, it will not feel peaceful. It will feel terrifying. We have been conditioned for so long to please, to bend, and to accommodate, that when we finally set a boundary, our mind instantly floods with panic. We assume we have made a terrible mistake. We want to rush back, apologize, and take back the no, just to relieve the heavy, crushing pressure in our chest. We think peace should feel calm immediately, but Buddhist wisdom teaches us the profound practice of sitting with discomfort. In Buddhism, the mind is understood to be a creature of deep habit. When you break a cycle of suffering, the mind rebels because the old habit, even though it was painful, was familiar. The sudden rush of guilt you feel is simply an emotion rising and falling. It is a dark cloud drifting across the sky. You do not have to chase the cloud. You do not have to pull it down and examine it. You only need to observe it without letting it drag you back into your old ways. Imagine a bird that has lived its entire life inside a small, open cage. The door has never been locked, but the bird has forgotten it has wings. One day, it finally steps out onto the ledge and opens them. The wind hits it for the very first time. The sudden rush of cold air is terrifying. The bird feels entirely unstable, shaky, and unsure of its own strength. It looks back at the familiar metal bars, desperately wanting to return to the cramped safety of the known. But the fear is not a sign that the open sky is wrong. The fear is simply the feeling of wings stretching for the very first time. Think about your own life. Think about the moment you finally send that difficult message. You tell a demanding client, "You cannot take on more work," Or you tell a friend you cannot attend the gathering. You hit send, and immediately your mind begins to race. You replay the conversation. You imagine their anger. You worry about the long-term logistical fallout of your absence. It feels like the friction of distance has suddenly expanded between you and the rest of the world. You feel completely isolated. You are desperately tempted to send a second message, immediately backtracking, offering a compromise you still do not want to make, just to erase the uncomfortable silence. Ask yourself, is this guilt actually yours, or is it just the heavy echo of an old habit? What if you simply let the guilt exist without rushing to fix it? Are you willing to trade 5 minutes of deep discomfort for a lifetime of authentic peace? Pause, breathe, let the storm pass without becoming the storm. Sit with the heavy feeling. Do not reach out to apologize for your own limits. Do not offer a long list of excuses. Let your no stand firmly on its own in the quiet air, because the heavy discomfort of setting a boundary is entirely temporary, but the silent exhaustion of a false yes will slowly consume your life. You are finally learning to hold your ground, and this is where the final transformation begins. 9. Reclaiming your authentic peace. What if the quiet heaviness in your chest was never meant to be your permanent state? Think back to the beginning of our journey. We started by looking at the exhausting burden of a false yes. We saw how easily we trade our own inner quiet to manage the emotional weather of everyone around us. We believed that by constantly bending, by swallowing our own needs, and by endlessly accommodating the heavy demands of others, we were holding the world together. We thought we were keeping the peace. We thought that self-erasure was the price of admission for love and belonging. But here is the truth. The world does not need you to break yourself to keep it spinning. Buddhism reminds us that true peace is not found by constantly adjusting the external world to avoid conflict. It is found by cultivating a deep, unshakable stillness within. When you let go of the deep-seated need to control how others perceive you, a profound transformation occurs. You step out of the exhausting cycle of self-abandonment and step into the quiet power of presence. You no longer need to be the shock absorber for everyone else's storms. You replace the illusion of control with the profound practice of trust. You trust that you are worthy of respect simply for existing, not just for what you can endlessly provide. Imagine the heavy backpack we talked about earlier, the one slowly filled with the stones of every false yes, every ignored boundary, and every resentful agreement you have ever carried. For years, you have walked with your head down, exhausted by the sheer weight of expectations that were never yours to hold. You assumed this was just the normal friction of living, but today, you realize the straps have never been locked. You do not have to carry it for one more mile. You can simply take it off, set it gently down by the side of the road, and walk away. Think about your own life moving forward. There is a strange kind of freedom waiting for you on the other side of your fear. When your outward voice finally matches your inward truth, the invisible friction that has been draining your spirit will simply disappear. You will begin to move with an undeniable lightness. The people who truly love you will respect your locked door, and the ones who are angry that you closed it were only ever loving the convenience of your open access. Ask yourself, are you ready to stop abandoning yourself? Are you ready to let the river flow naturally without endlessly striking the water? Are you finally willing to let the candle burn for you? Pause, breathe, let that sink in. Notice the incredible lightness that comes when you stop trying to manage the unmanageable. You are allowed to be completely human. You are allowed to have limits. You are allowed to protect the beautiful, quiet room of your own mind. True compassion begins the moment you finally include yourself in it. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let go now.